Hi, I'm Jack from GatelyAcademy, and in this lesson we're going to talk about smoke and carbon monoxide detectors and the requirement to have a single-family home inspected before the sale of the property. So this law kicks off with the 2005 Nicole's Law, which required carbon monoxide inspections when you're selling a property, single-family home in Massachusetts. So the fire department is actually going to come to the property and test the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. A couple of quick points here. You're going to need the passing certificate, the original passing certificate at the closing. Do not come up with a photocopy or anything like that. You're going to need the exact original certificate. Very often they're on colored paper, or sometimes they're signed with blue ink. But in whatever the case happens to be, you must bring the original certificate. If I was an agent, I'd be sure to make sure that I had a scanned copy or a photocopy of that for my own deal folder. But the original highly likely will be needed to be submitted to the closing attorney at the closing. Also, keep in mind that these certificates usually do not last more than 60 days. And you don't want to get it done too far in advance, obviously. Sometimes, when you have the fire department come to inspect, the property does not pass, and you have to have them come back. So, you want to plan enough time in advance to not only have them come and do the inspection, but worst case scenario, give yourself at least another week or so that they can come back and re-inspect if that has to be the case, because you didn't pass on the first inspection. So the cycle of timing is going to vary depending upon whichever fire district you're in, but I usually leave, in my cases, a good week between original inspection and hopefully I don't need that second inspection, but if I do, I've padded the time frame and I have enough time to do that. So I usually order this inspection about time the home inspection occurs. So I have another good month to get this done. That makes me feel much more comfortable about the inspection process. So I have that certificate on the day of closing. Now there are some exceptions to the carbon monoxide inspection. Every property has to be tested for smoke detectors. But carbon monoxide, there are some limited exceptions. In fact, I just sold a house that applied for this limited exception, and that's a house that has no source of carbon monoxide. And I really can only think of one, which is actually the category of home that I just sold. That was a home heated by electricity only. So this just had electric baseboard only, house down the Cape. And that type of home does not have to have carbon monoxide detectors. It will still need to have smoke detectors. Now, what type of detectors is your seller going to need? And this is almost always, I would say, a seller obligation, but actually the law is silent on who pays for it. This could be negotiated for the buyer to do. I've only had that done myself in a case of bank-owned property and a short sale, but in a non-short sale, non-bank-owned property, it's almost always the seller. But in those other types of sales where the property owner is technically a bank, from out of state or something, in that case, your buyer might actually have to arrange this to occur, but in most cases, it's going to be the seller themselves. So what type of detectors, Jack? Well, it really depends upon when the property was built and or permitted last. And here are your 3 dates here on the screen. You're not going to need to know these for the exam, nor are you going to need to know which type of detectors. But I will link up below this video the state guidance and guide on how to install these detectors and what type of detectors and where and how many detectors you're going to need. That will be something that will be very handy for you to have, and you should distribute it to your seller in most cases so that they are prepared and have the proper detectors installed, so when the fire department arrives, they pass on the first time. Lastly, in this video, a quick reminder that for rental properties, property owners, landlords, must install and inspect on an annual basis all of their detectors, update the battery packs and or batteries, and also must respond to any complaints by the tenants that they're not working in a timely manner. So the inspection from a property owner is yearly. Sounds like a really good test question.